name is Cody Finney. I am the director of Overcome Athletics. This is my dog Clover. She basically is the second in command here. So today I'm going to go over how exactly I train my athletes. This is anyone from a 8th grader playing football to a college wrestler. They all pretty much follow a similar type of yearly progression going from their off-season to preseason camp and then in season. There are some differences that I will go over in the future, but for today we're just going to go over kind of a broad sweep of how we train our athletes as a whole here. Okay, so starting at the bottom, the most important thing is general physical preparedness. So that basically means how in shape is an athlete. That, for the most part, I expect the athletes to handle on their own. If they need that to be brought up, then we add in the band work, the warm-ups, we turn into a circuit, the accessory work, repeat effort, we turn into a superset. But I'm not a sport coach. It is not my job to run the athletes, and in my opinion, most of the time that's a waste of time. The aerobic requirements of most sports is far less than a lot of coaches seem to think it is. But with that being said, if they have none, then in the off season we add in a little bit. Okay, so the next thing up is repeated efforts. That's the accessories. That's your dumbbell presses, your curls, your leg presses, your hamstring curls. Basically the things that slap muscle onto an athlete's frame. I'm huge on that. In the off season, that's the main focus. The right muscle in the right areas helps a lot down the road. An athlete if all else is equal, the athlete with stronger hamstrings is going to run faster. If all else is equal, the athlete with stronger hamstrings is less likely to tear his hamstring. Okay? So, next thing up, maximal strength. So this is your squats, your benches, your deadlifts, your box squats, the main lift of the day on a max effort day. In the off season, when they're in the middle, like a football athlete in the middle of the spring or the winter, we push those for 3s and 5s. The variations, they vary a little bit, but about 3/4 of the time it's going to be a full range of motion. So I box squat 2 parallel or slightly above, a full ROM deadlift. They're going to touch the chest on their benching, stuff like that. We're going to keep the weights a little bit lighter by keeping in those triples and those 5s, because it doesn't really, at that point in time, it does not necessarily matter how strong they are maximally. We just want to keep that in the rotation. So then we get to the dynamic effort, the speed work. So in the off season, I like to run the 5x5 waves. If I have an athlete who's brand new, it's just going to be straight weight. I ain't going to toss any bands or chains on there. They're just going to do straight weight, 5 sets, 5 reps, 25 to 30 reps. So I sometimes add a set or I add reps. It depends. Variation for variation's sake at that point. But it's usually between a 60 to 80% range at the top, or a little bit lighter, like 10% down if it's straight weight. With that being said, there's some differences from some athletes. Like, for example, if I have a kid who's brand new to the gym, I'm not going to have them load anything that's specifically heavy. They're going to spend all their time learning how to do the movements right. Now, if I have a kid there are some people like me, for example, I'm very good at speed work. I can do speed work with 85% and have it still be snap, snap, snap. If they can handle it, then I might push the percentage up a little bit. But at the end of the day, it's all about how fast the bar's moving. Are they staying in that strength speed range? Okay, and then the throws and jumps. I am a strength coach. My job is to get the athletes to be better at being athletes. I would be doing with this service if I didn't have them get better at jumping and throwing. Jumps and throws, those are the plyometrics. Those are the things that actually transfer, I hate to say specific, but that transfer best over to the field, that explosive strength range. Teaching them to generate force. In the off season, volume's pretty high. 6 sets of 2, 6 sets of 3, all that kind of jazz, and that's always done before dynamic effort and max effort work. Relative and specific, like for example, that might be something as simple as stepping down off of a box and then doing a lap and then doing a broad jump to the left and then doing the opposite to the right. Things that are just getting them good at generating force in tons of different positions. Because at that point, I don't really need them to be good at, I don't really need them to be, say, good at a vertical jump if they're a basketball player. I just need them to get good at jumping in general. Okay? So that's the off season. So just to recap on the off season, high volume on the jumps, very unspecific. Speed work is 5 sets of 5, 5 sets of 5, 5 sets of 6, 6 sets of 5. Same weights. The goal is not necessarily to be as fast, but we just want good quality reps that are nice and snappy. Maximal strength, kind of still keep it in there, but it's sets of 3, sets of 5, things that are kind of a little bit lighter, not necessarily pushing the intensity as high. A lot of full range of motion variations. Lots and lots and lots of accessory work, trying to get as much muscle on their frame as possible, and getting them in shape if they need to. Usually they don't. Okay? All right, so there's the off season. There's your spring. There's your winter and spring for football players. Preseason, okay. You're getting into the summer. Camp hasn't started yet. Camp might be starting like right around this range here, the end of the preseason, beginning of the in-season block. But here in the preseason, we want to basically take the muscle that we've gained and start to gradually become more and more specific to maximal strength, maximal velocity, all that stuff. So again, at that point, they will be doing some sort of practicing for most sports. So they don't need any GPP work outside of their sport. The camps that they're doing, the practices once or twice a week throughout the summer and stuff like that, that covers the block for getting them in shape. That's no longer my responsibility unless they absolutely need it, which they almost never do. Okay, repeated effort. We still keep it in. We cut the volume down a little bit, but intensity stays the same. But that also can depend a little bit on practice intensity. Like say you have a team that practices three times a week, even in the preseason in the summer before the season starts. Then I might drop it down a little farther. If you have a team that only has like a veer camp or something every few weekends, then I'm going to keep it the same as the off season. Now, the big changes here come up at the top. Okay, so maximal strength, it goes down to singles only. This is about this 8 to 12 week time here, we really want to start getting them used to being strong. We want to get them feeling strong, feeling good. Because you want an athlete to come into camp thinking that they're strong as all hell. Full range of motion still kept in, but we cut it down a little bit because we want the weights to go up a little bit more. Again, we want to build that confidence in them. Speed work, volume drops slightly, not much, but a teeny bit sometimes. So instead of 5x5, it goes to 10 sets of 2, 8 sets of 3, that kind of rep range there. Weight stays the same. The goal is to be faster than the 5x5. We want every rep to be bam, 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 racket. Now, the throws and the jumps, they become a little bit more specific. So if I have, say, a cross-country athlete, then I'm going to take out anything that's impact-based. So I would have them basically just do a standing box jump, stuff like that. I wouldn't have them do anything where they're seated and then bring down. I wouldn't have them do a depth jump. I'd take out anything that is impact related. So basically, you just adjust based on what they're already training and what they're already getting volume from in practice. But intensity stays the same. Intensity goes up. The amount of jumps drop down a little bit. We're starting to push the height a little bit, push the distance on the throws, really try to get some explosiveness built up. Okay? So then we get into the in-season part. So in season, we drop the athletes down to training 2 times a week. Again, they're in season. If they ain't in shape by then, that's the coaches. That's the sport. That's on the sport coach, not me. They should be in shape by then. Accessory work goes under the bare minimum. So I want the athletes to be in and out in 45 minutes tops. Their accessory work, say on a lower body day, I might have them do 100 banded leg curls, 50 45-degree back raises, maybe some tibia, maybe some tib raises, some calf work. That's it. They're done. They don't need much more than that. The goal is just to maintain, keep them feeling good, get a lot of blood pulled into the joints, help them recover. Okay, so maximal strength, we take that for the most part out in season. So we rotate it in every 3 weeks. So week 1, speed, week 2, speed, week 3, max effort work. I try to line this up, and I will adjust that. I will put it in a week early or a week late if I have to. I want them to take max effort work the week before playoffs start. I want them to go into the playoff game strong, feeling great. So really short ROMs, I want things that are a lot of weight, and I want things that are very, very, very low impact. So a box squat, just maybe a 20-inch box. Things that they can load up, get them confident going into the playoffs. Speed work is the main emphasis in the in-season. So volume drops a little bit more, intensity drops a little bit more. So I drop it down to 8 sets of 3 to at most 8 sets of 3, 6 sets of 3. That's 6 sets to 8 sets of 3 is usually the range we keep that in. Again, it might change a little bit. I might drop it down to 2s, like 2 weeks before playoffs, something like that, kind of peak them a little bit. But for the most part, it stays in that range. Again, we want the same speed as in the preseason. Snap, boom, boom, boom. Just drop the volume down a little bit. That way they can recover more for the games, which, again, I can't reiterate this enough. The goal of in-season training is to have the athlete feeling as good as possible on game day. That is the goal. I don't really care what numbers they're doing in the gym. If they get to a point where they can't move the bar fast enough at that 60 to 8% range, I'll cut it down 10%. The goal is to get the work done, get them feeling good on the field. That's what matters. Now, again, for the jumps, depending on the sport, I might drop them entirely, depending on the athlete. So if I have someone who's in season in basketball, they're doing a lot of sprinting, they're doing a lot of jumping, I'm going to cut it out. There's no reason for me to keep it in. They're already doing a lot of maximal jumping in practice. All I would be doing is beating them up for nothing. Now, if I were to say have a swimmer or a wrestler, something where there isn't that much impact, I'd keep it in. It would drop down to very, very simple things, nothing weighted, but I would keep it in. Intense volume would be down even farther. So I would have to do at most 6 really intense singles on a box jump, or 6 really intense singles on a throw, something like that. But I would not have them really do anything maximal or anything that's going to beat them up more than they need to. So, hope that clears up some things. That's essentially the entire year-round system of how we train our athletes.